Now coming to the definition of ischemic preconditioning. It's an adaptive mechanism by which brief period of reversible ischemia increases the heart tolerance to subsequent longer period of ischemia. Here, few adjectives are very important. It's an adaptive mechanism. You get adapted to it, and it is going to be reversible ischemia. It is very important. It is not irreversible. It should be a reversible ischemia so that the blood flow again can happen after the exertion or after the event, and subsequent ischemia can be withstood better. So, these three things are very important. Adaptive mechanism, reversible ischemia, and subsequent ischemia can be better tolerated. We have preconditioning, post-conditioning and remote conditioning. What is this preconditioning? Multiple cycles of ischemia followed by reperfusion of the myocardium prior to the onset of prolonged lethal ischemia results in smaller infarct size. That is preconditioning. Okay. Here you have multiple cycles of ischemia and reperfusion before onset of lethal ischemia. So, you have a stimulus which is transient ischemia, and this will be signaled through the neural and humoral pathway to cardiomyocyte, where your protein kinase C and alteration in gene expression will happen, and the two main channels which are going to help in preconditioning is the potassium ATPase channel and your mitochondrial permeability transition pore. And from this signaling, there is an early phase of protection which gives greater resistance to ischemia, reduces your reperfusion arrhythmias, and also preserves your left ventricular function. In the late phase, it protects against oxidative stress and apoptosis. There is down regulation of pro-inflammatory genes. It is basically an anti-inflammatory effect on circulating leukocytes. This is preconditioning. This preconditioning you do before the onset of ischemia. But in post-conditioning, here the ischemic cycle are applied at the point of reperfusion after the ischemic event. Here preconditioning, you give the insult before the ischemia happens. In perconditioning, you give before the reperfusion happen, and in post-conditioning, you give at the end of reperfusion. Then what is remote conditioning? Here, you give ischemia applied to a remote region, okay, or an organ. See, you can clamp an aorta, or you can put a blood pressure cuff on the axillary artery or brachial artery, which can give a similar protective effect on the heart muscle that is suspected to ischemia. You induce ischemia on the hand, it will be protective on the heart or some other organ. That is remote conditioning. Here, you induce ischemia by blood pressure cuff inflation. The reperfusion is nothing but the deflation of the blood pressure cuff. Once you deflate, there is going to be reperfusion. It can help in the coronary, renal and cerebral circulation. Not only that, remote organs like lung, intestine, liver and various other organs also, it can prevent ischemia by this remote condition. So, in remote, you have cycles of brief inflation and deflation of a cuff placed on the limb, and remote preconditioning is you do that before ischemia happening. Perconditioning remote preconditioning is between ischemia and reperfusion, and post remote conditioning is you do at the end of reperfusion. Here a partial clamp is applied on the aorta, which is a form of remote conditioning.